The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed. Only the names have been changed. Here. Only the names have been changed. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed. Only the names have been changed. Here. Only the names have been changed. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed.
So what do you think about Brexit?
I think it's an absolutely terrible idea. So it's not going to be good for us leaving the best single market in the world. And I think basically the idea of coming together was after World War II. It was a Churchillian idea, and we've had decades of trans-European peace across the whole continent, and we're just throwing it away.
It's true.
On the morning of the vote results being announced, how did that make you feel?
I was devastated. I was gutted. I was honestly gutted. I was travelling at the time. I was in Thailand, and everyone was laughing at us. The whole of Thailand, everyone we spoke to was like, "Hey, your pound, like the value of the pound," and we were there like.
Yeah, it was terrible. I lived in Germany, and all the Germans were just, why?
Yeah,
why? It just made no sense. They just couldn't.
It still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it still makes no sense. But
the only people it makes sense to is people who don't want foreigners in this country, friendly.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Everybody else is going to suffer. The economy is going to suffer. Education is going to suffer. Public services are going to suffer.
Yeah. Our generation
Our culture is going to be less diverse. We're going to become more intolerant.
Yeah, it's anti-globalization. Basically.
So that's why we're here today.
Yes.
And what do you think might happen to the UK if Article 50 is triggered and the UK leaves the EU?
It's going to make life a lot more
I
difficult
think
for us.
economically, for the people on the bottom, it's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse. And unfortunately, it is the people that are working class, it's the people that have less money already, that are going to get hit hardest, especially in the northeast where we're from.
If you were to view this video in 20 years' time, what would you like to say to yourself in 20 years' time?
I tried.
We tried.
Hopefully,
maybe we didn't try enough.
Yeah. Hopefully, in 20 years' time, the generation who voted to get us out will all be gone, and the next generation will have come through, and we might rejoin. That would be a pretty nice event in 20 years' time.
I'd be glad to say that I'm glad to have stood up and said what I think. And stand up for it. Not just let it happen. And for Theresa May to say it's the will of the people, it's not the will of the people.
Yeah.
There's tens of thousands of people here, it's not the will of the people.
No, exactly.
So you seem to have quite a lot of flags on your sign. What's the story behind it?
So there's only 500 million people in Europe. We need to stick together to compete economically, globally with, say, America and China in the future.
I've been in the UK for over 10 years. I came here in 2006, yet I have no say in this decision whatsoever, which feels frustrating, right?
That's right. So you've been here long, but you didn't get the vote.
No, because I've been a EU citizen, but only British citizen, British passport could vote. And I also feel kind of weird about it, because that's great. Ukraine, the British system is there. There's a wave of people suddenly solving problems that didn't have to be solved before, costing the taxpayer a lot of money just to process all of these applications that are coming through now. All for nothing.
Yeah, just going to be a lot poorer and, you know, have less rights. There's a big risk to everyone's future and technological global developments. Yeah, progress. Yeah, just need to stick together. We're stronger together.
What do you think might happen if the UK actually does leave the EU?
Yeah, I think there's going to be more inequality. We're going to be poorer overall. Britain is going to be stepping back to the world stage. It's going to take a back seat in history.
On some level, it's also removing another check and balances. One of the key parts of democracy is that you always have check and balances and provide control that both power can't just do whatever they want. One powerful instrument was the Human Rights Conventions, and the EU is very dedicated to that. And by stepping out of that, you basically lose one of the controls to keep the government in check.
It's great that you can go anywhere in the EU now and have the same rights, you know, in work, breaks at work, maternity leave, holiday, yeah, gun control. I feel safe no matter where I go in the EU. So I think that's a big area. It's so progressive.
Why did you feel you needed to be here today?
I think we need to be here today because we need to prove that not everyone in the country voted to leave the European Union. There are 48% of people who didn't vote that way, and they're as entitled to make their view known as anyone else.
And those that did vote, we still don't know what we're getting, and it's horrendous. And nobody ever talked about a hard Brexit before this happened, and now we're just going straight down that path.
So the people may have spoken, but who knows what they said.
How did the vote result make you feel the morning after the results?
I cried constantly.
Embarrassed,
I went into work and just cried and cried and cried, and I felt so bad that I hadn't done more beforehand as well. We were complacent about a lot of issues that need to be addressed for lots of people, but this isn't the way.
No, you could say that the time for debating, the time for arguing this passed. That was when the bill that embarked us on leaving the European Union was passed basically unopposed. That was the time for discussion. But we can't go back, so all we can do now is hope that we can revisit that conversation, try to build some consensus. We don't have to leave the European Union, we don't have to. Things can be done to stop this, we don't have to follow through. If it's a mad decision, we don't have to take it.
What do you think is going to happen if the UK leaves the EU?
I think we've got an incredibly divided country. It's pretty horrible. You know, we just had people come up and shout at us for just being here. I'm not trying to be in their face, you know. There's all of that. There's Scotland, which we're going to lose, probably Northern Ireland as well. You know, as a nation, a country that I used to be proud of, apart from leaving the EU, we're falling apart. And that's so sad.
Anything you'd like to add to the people out there?
I just hope to see many people there today, as many as we can. If people think, why should I go? What am I protesting for? It's just to encourage people to think, because if we make a bad choice now, it will haunt us for decades. So do think about whether we want to make this decision and speak to your MPs. Just speak to people, just speak to your friends and say, do we want to do this?
Do we have to continue protesting, whatever anybody else says. If it had gone the other way, the argument wouldn't have just stopped.
No, exactly.
And I don't see why I should be threatened for continuing to think the way I think. You know, we need to try and get this together and make something positive, but we're allowed to continue down this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Good luck today, Mike.
During the struggle against Nazism, Britain took in refugees from all over Europe. My friend Charlie was a 13-year-old Jewish girl from Berlin who fled the Nazis and was given a safe haven here in Britain. During World War II, we stood in solidarity with the rest of Europe. We stood in solidarity with the anti-Nazi resistance in the occupied countries. We aided Europe, and Europe aided us to defeat Nazism. Polish air crews helped to defend Britain's skies and cities against the Luftwaffe. Today, we owe them a debt. We know we owe all Europeans a debt when they stood with us to defeat fascism. And today, we must stand together again. Stand together with the rest of Europe to meet the common threats of climate destruction, corporate tax avoidance, and the threat from the United States and Russia. Presidents Trump and Putin want a divided Europe and an isolated Britain so that they can make our economy subservient to theirs and so they can pressure us to follow their foreign policy diktats. United with Europe, we'll be better able to defend our interests against both Washington and Moscow. Now, more than ever before since 1945, we need solidarity across borders and European unity. I'm a Democrat, so I cannot deny the referendum result. But I reserve my right and our right to protest against it. Like many of you, I want a second referendum. Everyone in Britain, even those who voted for Brexit, deserve a second referendum. We voted by a narrow majority to leave, but we never voted at all on the terms and conditions. And the British people must be given the right to decide. A united Europe is our best hope for peace, democracy, social justice, and human rights. United together in this country and across Europe, we can win those goals. We can make a Europe better for now and better for future generations. Brexit is a blip. Europe united can and will win. Thank you.